Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Straight Outta Boston here, and today I'm back for episode number 21 of my LA Rams Connected Franchise Series here in Madden NFL 16. So after losing in the NFC Championship game, we are moving on to the offseason in this episode after season number 2. First, we get our contract extended by the LA Rams, and then we are going to take a look at the Pro Bowl rosters here. I believe our only Pro Bowler might have been Aaron Donald. We also had Jared Cook there as well. He had a very good year for a tight end, but no offensive linemen, really no skill position players on offense except for Cook. So for this offseason, I'm going to split it up into two parts. We're going to be doing free agency in this part, and we're going to be doing the offseason in the next part. Hopefully, I should have both videos up today. If not, then I'll definitely have the offseason up tomorrow, or the second part of the offseason up tomorrow, I should say. So here's a look at the final statistics for some of our players this year. Blake Walls, 32 touchdowns as a rookie, did throw 24 interceptions. Gurley got up to 1,000 yards, actually 1,100 yards in only 12 games played. Actually, 11 games played, I believe. And then you can see Tavon Austin also got up over 1,000 yards. Jared Cook almost did, but both had pretty good touchdown numbers to go along with it. And you can see here some of the offensive line numbers. Kind of disappointed that Rashad Poteet led the team in sacks given up. I thought he had played a little bit better, but he kind of did struggle a little bit as a rookie. Committed a lot of penalties, a lot of holding penalties. Hopefully we will fix that after we bumped up his penalty to balanced instead of undisciplined. And then here's some more statistics. Tavon Austin, 2,000 yards as a kick returner this year. Did have the one touchdown and then add on another 813 yards as a punt returner. 18 yards a return. That is a very, very good average. Nick Saban finished 4th in Coach of the Year voting. We did not, of course, win any individual awards like MVP or anything like that. So just wrapping up some scouting here. I'm going to be doing a lot of scouting in the next episode where I'll really get into what prospects I'm looking at in this draft. There's Jimmy Hunter. Remember his name. He was a pretty good right tackle, scouted to be, or projected to be a 7th rounder, and he could be a guy we have an eye on later. So here we go now, looking at some of the retirees. It's Larry Fitzgerald, and it's the Buffalo Bills defeating the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. Definitely an upset right there. I thought the Packers would just run through whoever was the AFC champion, but the Bills did beat the Jaguars in the AFC championship game, and then they moved on to beat the Packers in the Super Bowl. So pretty impressive accomplishment right there for the Bills. Take a look at some more retirees. Tony Romo, DeMarcus Ware, Marcus Colston, Jared Allen as well. So a lot of big names who are going to be riding off into the sunset this offseason. So now we're moving on to the re-signing phase of the offseason. So we've got TJ McDonald here, a guy I hesitated to re-sign in the middle of the year, but I came to my senses, decided I would give him the 4-year, $22 million offer he wanted. Only $6 million guaranteed, so not a ton of money tied up if we decided to cut him. But looking at the rest of these free agents, and the wide receivers were the big ones, Marvin Jones and Kenny Britt, guys who weren't looking for huge contract demands, but I really thought that the weapons that Blake Wells had available to him could be an area where we could upgrade in this offseason. So I ultimately decided not to re-sign either of them. I thought we could come back to them in free agency if they looked like they were going to be the best available options, but I thought maybe going after a big name wide receiver could be one area in which we improve the team. And that was kind of my philosophy with this whole re-signing process. Was I didn't really offer a ton of guys big contracts, and I let a lot of guys go because I wanted to keep as much cap flexibility as possible as we headed towards free agency. So take a look. A lot of the bottom of the roster guys we're going to let walk. Those are guys that I don't want to overpay for. Ethan Westbrooks was one guy I wanted to bring back because he's a pretty good interior pass rusher. But the others, I really didn't think that they did anything, spectacular enough or exceptional enough that they warranted kind of overspending to bring back as backups. So ultimately, the only guys I decided to bring back were Stedman Bailey and TJ McDonald. Westbrooks did not even decide to resign. So now taking a look at the free agents, and oh my goodness, this is quite the crop of free agents here. Jabal Sheard, Dante Hightower, who immediately I was going to target because we do kind of need that third linebacker to go along with Ogletree and Trevathan. So Hightower, definitely a name we're going to keep an eye on. But looking down the list, Keenan Allen as well could be a big upgrade in the wide receiving corp. Muhammad Wilkerson, Malcolm Jenkins, that would be a huge upgrade in the secondary. Drew Brees, we probably don't need a quarterback, but still the fact that a quarterback that good hitting free agency, that is not something you see very often. And then moving down the list, Sharif Floyd, Michael Floyd, a ton of good defensive linemen, not really in a spot we need to upgrade, but Martellus Bennett there, Barkevius Mingo, still moving down the list, Doug Baldwin and Emmanuel Sanders, two guys, again, who I knew that I thought they could be pretty big upgrades on our receiving corps. So we're going to be looking at some of those receivers moving forward. Roosevelt Nix, a guy I decided I probably didn't want to bring back just because we could sign a fullback for pretty cheap after the training camp begins. But now taking a look at Keenan Allen's ratings, 99 route running, 99 catch in traffic, 93 catching, and then Emmanuel Sanders and Doug Baldwin I found to be pretty comparable receivers here. Good catching, good route running, good catch in traffic, good spectacular catch. Both not really huge guys. They're both under 6 feet, but I thought they would actually be the perfect complements to Keenan Allen. So my first priority was Keenan Allen. I knew that this guy could be our number one receiver, a true number one weapon for Blake Wells. And then I thought a guy like Sanders or Baldwin would complement him well. So we give Sanders a $24 million contract offer over 4 years. We gave Allen a $55 million offer over 5 years. And then here's Malcolm Jenkins, a guy that I really thought could have been a good addition, but I decided ultimately not to go after him. He is 29 years old, so he's kind of getting up there in age. We do have Rodney McLeod, but I think free safety is a spot we could upgrade in the future, and honestly, after this free agency period, I was kind of kicking myself for not going after Jenkins a little bit more aggressively, and just seeing if we could have maybe gotten him to take a contract below market value. But Dante Hightower definitely was a guy I immediately knew I was going to be going after. I thought he would be the perfect linebacker to complement both Alec Ogletree and Danny Trevathan. So we're going to be looking at him. Barkevious Mingo, very good outside linebacker, but more of a 3-4 pass rusher. Hightower is listed as a 3-4 pass rusher, but he can do a lot more things. He's very good in the run game and isn't the worst when he's in the open field. So I think that he's a little bit better of a player, kind of a more well-rounded player than Barkevious Mingo. So that's why I decided to go after Hightower. I also thought Hightower is a guy who I can move to the inside if I wanted to move Trevathan to the outside. Mingo definitely is an outside guy. It just doesn't really fit our scheme very well. Looking at guards here, Justin Pugh would have been one option, but he would have cost a lot of money. Richie Incognito was only looking for a 1-year deal, so I offered him a contract. And then Jabal Sheard, we just didn't really need a defensive lineman. He would have been nice to pick up. He's very good in this game, but he was looking for a huge contract demand, and we just, frankly, don't need another end. We have good ends as it is with Robert Quinn, William Hayes, and, if we wanted to add some depth, we could draft some. After advancing to the second stage of free agency, Richie Incognito is the first player to sign with us, so that's going to be an immediate upgrade to our offensive line. I knew with Garrett Reynolds walking that we were going to at least want to sign one offensive lineman and maybe draft another, but we'll see about the draft as we get towards that in the next stage of the offseason. Anyway, bumping up our offer to Keenan Allen, we hadn't yet placed the highest bid. That belonged to Washington. So I upped the offer to $12 million a year, 60-year total over 5 years. And then Doug Baldwin, I decided to offer him a contract. I initially had preferred to get Emmanuel Sanders, but like I said, they're very comparable players, and we offered the same contract to Baldwin, and we were actually the high bidder on Baldwin, but we were second on Sanders. So another team is kind of overvaluing Sanders, and at that point I just decided, you know what, whatever one was going to sign the smaller contract is the guy we were going to go after. So I offered them both the same exact contract, $17.5 million base salary over 4 years, with just $6.5 million guaranteed. And then skipping forward to the next stage of the offseason, we are still bidding on guys like Hightower and Allen. They have not signed yet. Hightower, we are now no longer the high bidder on, but I decided I wasn't going to overpay for Hightower just because we already have good linebacker play. Overpaying for a third really good linebacker, I think maybe isn't the best idea. So I kept the offer where it was, and there we go. Doug Baldwin, he has signed. Dante Hightower, he has signed. We bring Deion Jordan back. Keenan Allen, he also signs, and luckily for us, Sanders does reject, so we didn't end up with Sanders and Baldwin. We only got one of the two, which is what we wanted. Sanders actually ended up getting north of $7 million a year. So now the rest of this part of the offseason is just going to be looking through at some of the contracts that guys got. Ethan Westbrook signs with Cincinnati. Foster goes to the Raiders. Geno Smith got a lot of money to play quarterback for the Eagles. Tim Tebow signs with the Bengals. Danny Lansana to a division rival in the Cardinals. Kenny Britt to the Vikings. You can see Tremaine Johnson. He was a free agent again. He signed on with San Francisco. Muhammad Wilkerson goes to the Dolphins. Sam Bradford to the Broncos. I saw Emmanuel Sanders there to the Bucks. Malcolm Jenkins and Jabal Sheard both signed. The Bears snatched up Drew Brees. And so you can take a look at some of the other guys here. I'm not going to read them all off one by one, but a pretty successful free agency right there. We addressed a couple big needs. Like I said, I knew we were going to look to add a third linebacker and kind of replace the Lance Briggs, Danny Lansana, James Laurinaitis kind of trio that we had been rotating with that third linebacker spot. Hightower is a versatile guy, along with Trevathan. They both can play on the inside or the outside, so we still have a good trio of linebackers, and then we definitely improved the offense. We got Blake Wells some serious weapons. I think that we probably don't have to address those areas of need in the draft anymore. We still might try and draft a tight end, though, especially if we have some excess draft picks. And then, on top of that, I'll talk more about the draft in the next episode. But that is going to do it. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching. Part 2 will be out soon.